Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ellis Nordhoff, and today I'm back for some player ratings for Everton 3, Newcastle nil. What a night at Goodison Park. Another night that we will remember for the rest of our lives. We're moving into a new stadium soon, and we want to make as many memories as we can at Goodison. And we made another one last night. What a brilliant performance from Everton. Probably one of the best in quite a few years at Goodison, and everybody was on it from start to finish. We bossed Newcastle, we were the better side and we come away with not just a win, but a comfortable win. 3-0. And now, if it wasn't for the points deduction, we'd be up to 10th. So it just shows how well we've been doing recently. But let's get into the ratings. Let's have a look at the players one by one individually and see how they've done. So, Jordan Pickford. We'll start with Jordan Pickford. He's always the man of the moment against Newcastle, isn't he? Obviously, he hates them. And I think it's safe to say that they hate him as well. They're not a fan of him, are they? They bring their dinosaur inflatables and they absolutely love winding him up, but they couldn't wind him up tonight by no means, and he wound them up instead. I think I could probably give him an extra point purely for his antics today. I think that's fair. He slid in front of the away fans when we scored the second goal. He was doing all sorts of stuff to wind them up. He caught the ball and then fell on it. And I think he just absolutely loves winding Newcastle fans up. And finally, he gets what he deserves against them. He's not won loads against them in his time, but he got another one there tonight, and it's just great to see. He was pretty good on the whole, didn't make any mistakes, and wasn't called upon massively. He didn't make those enormous saves that we've seen in the past because he wasn't really called upon to do so, but he got his clean sheet. So I've got to give him a 7. It's a strong performance, and you get the extra point just because you was winding them up. So fair play, Jordan Pickford. On to Seamus Coleman now. Captain Fantastic. He's getting a 7 from me. He went off injured, which is really unfortunate, but this man gives absolutely everything for his football club, doesn't he? He's now going into the 15th season in a row where he's made an appearance for Everton. He's got the longevity and he's been such an important player for us and still is. He went and showed that again. A real good shift from him, strong defensively. When he received it, he was good on the ball. He's actually very good in tight situations, which is something that he probably doesn't get enough credit for, but Seamus did really well, and it's just great to see him back. But sadly, he had to go off. On to the rest of the defence now. Jared Bramthwaite and James Tarkowski. I think it's safe to say that they are pretty consistent every single game. I imagine all the ratings for the other games are pretty similar to this. They're both getting 8s from me. Two strong performances. They both win everything in the air. Tarkowski can trust Bramthwaite. Bramthwaite can trust Tarkowski. And I think we're seeing an even better Tarkowski now because he doesn't have to worry. He's got a 21-year-old defender next to him and he doesn't have to worry. And that says everything you need to know about Jared Bramthwaite. Two great defenders, and I hope to see them in the heart of Everton's defence for the next few years if we can just keep hold of Jared Bramthwaite. On to the left back now, Mykhalenko. A quiet game for him, but a game where he did absolutely nothing wrong. He's getting a 7 for me for this one. Did nothing wrong at all. He's been great recently. Didn't quite have as many opportunities to attack tonight, but he defended really well. When he wins it back, he plays it forward. He's got that intent now to actually look forward rather than backwards. He's a much more positive player than he was a year ago. And it's great to see Mykolenko doing well. So he gets a 7 from me. Onto the midfield now. Idrissa Gana Gay. He was one of the only actual recognised defensive central midfielders that we had playing. He was the only one. Obviously, Doucoure was moved back for this game, and we even found Jack Harrison in midfield. So it was quite a mishmash midfield, really. It wasn't what you're normally used to. And there's massive credit that should go to Idrissa Gana Gay for still playing well in a midfield without James Garner and Amadou Onana. So fair play to him. He made about 5 fouls, I think. So, of course, that's not ideal, but he got booked after 3. So he obviously did something to make sure he avoided that booking. And we know what Idrissa Gay does. He wins the ball back and he moves it on and he does it absolutely brilliantly. But I feel like he had an even bit more actually against Newcastle. When he won it back, he dealt with it really well and he didn't give it away anywhere near as much as he normally does. He played a great ball wide to Jack Harrison. I think it was in the first half. And Adressagay doesn't really get the credit he deserves for how good a footballer he is. And of course, he's getting older now, so we might not have him for that long, but he's a really useful part of the squad and he was good once again for us. So Adressagay gets a 7 from me. Pretty strong performance. Alongside him, Abdoulaye Doucoure moved back from an almost second striker role that he's had in recent weeks and ever since he come in under Dyche. He got brought back from the team after Frank Lampard completely fell out with him. And he's got, under Sean Dyche, 10 goals in 30 games, 1 goal in three. No one can deny his effectiveness. And he was moved into an almost defensive midfield position for this game, and he dealt with it really well. He played very well and he got his goal, which is all you can ask for, really. I think a lot of the time, Abdoulaye Doucoure at home, he gives the ball away quite a lot. And when you give Doucoure too much time on the ball, he can sometimes struggle, but he didn't against Newcastle, which is a really important thing to note. And hopefully that's the start of him being a bit more confident at home, because we know away from home he's so important to us, but he's important at home as well. And he got his goal once again from being in the right place at the right time. That's Doucoure, isn't it? That's what he's about. He scores so many goals for us. We have to remember he's a midfielder sometimes, because 1 in 3 during at the time while Dyche has been here is an incredible record. And he goes and puts it in again. Great celebration, by the way. Doing the salute with Betto. Absolutely love that. So Decore, yeah, strong performance once again. A 7 from me for him. Moving on to the other midfielder who actually he went wide at some point. So Jack Harrison had an interesting role in this game, but he did it really well. He was one of the standouts for Everton here. He really worked hard, absolutely worked his socks off. At times he'd find himself on the wing, at times he'd find himself through the middle, but wherever he was, he really played well. And Jack Harrison struggled lately. Him and Dwight Mcneil, actually, before the last couple of games, we were seeing that defensive work from them, but the attacking output just wasn't quite there. I think it was there with Harrison against Newcastle. I thought he was good on the ball. When he was wide, he was really good at standing it up and getting the ball back in, when like trying to recycle a chance, and he did that really well. Through the middle, he offered us quite a lot as well. It'll be interesting to see if he's ever used again as an option there, because he's shown that he can do it. And he worked so hard. He created one of Trippier's mistakes by winning that ball back, the high press. Kieran Trippier, one of the most experienced fullbacks in the league, he struggled to deal with Jack Harrison against Newcastle. So fair play to him. He's getting a 9 from me because he really was on it against Newcastle. So fair play to Jack Harrison. And on the wings now, Dwight McNeil, normally the person who's on the opposite wing to Harrison, but instead Harrison was in the middle and McNeil was on the left wing where he normally is. And he's back, isn't he? He's back to his best. Started with his goal against Nottingham Forest, and we know how important confidence is to players. And you can see that in Dwight McNeil now. When he came through with that ball, shooting into the Gladys Street, and you knew he was going to bury that. And he did just that. He's just the person you want to see in that position. And his left foot really is a wand. And he calls it the paintbrush. Fair play to him. Call it whatever you want, because he puts the ball in the net for us. So fair play to Dwight McNeil. And I think he's a player that a lot of Everton fans just want to see do well, because he gives his all for the club and he's got quality as well. He's still a young player, and I think a lot of the time people don't realize how young he is. There's still more to come from Dwight McNeil. So I was really impressed with his performance, and he's going to get a 9 from me as well, actually. I'm being nice and generous here because we've just won 3-0 against Newcastle at home. We're giving the good 9s out here. Plenty of good performances all around. But on the other side, Ashley Young, of course, now he's a defender, isn't he? He's 38 years old. He used to be a winger in his heyday, perhaps maybe 13 years ago. And now, of course, he's more of a defender, but he was charged with playing at right midfield against Newcastle, and he delivered. It was one of the best performances we've seen from Ashley Young in an Everton shirt. He was really good and shown how he still has got it at 38. He looked really fit as well in those dying minutes in added time. He was there chasing it like he'd only just come on. This is a 38-year-old, so you can see why Dyche brought him in. And there has been times where we've thought, is he really still up to the pace of the league? And you do worry sometimes he can get those easy bookings and he can get those silly fouls when he can't quite keep up. But fair play to him against Newcastle, he absolutely delivered. So Ashley Young's getting a 9 from me without a doubt. Of course, he doesn't offer tons going forward, but he was called upon to do a shift and he did his shift. So you know what, Ashley Young, I'll give that to you. And hopefully he can continue to do well for us, because he's a leader in that dressing room as well. He's an old head. He's someone who's been through it before. And it can't be underestimated how important players like that are. So fair play, Ashley Young, a 9 from me there. And then the final player who started, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. A difficult game for Dom, I'd say. He he missed quite a few chances, didn't he, to be fair to him? The most notable one being at the end of the first half when Tarkovsky missed it and it came to Dom and it goes over the bar. It's disappointing to see, but Dom's still putting in the performances. He's still playing to a decent level. The goals just aren't coming from him at the moment. He's had quite a few without a goal, and he's still doing his job. I don't think it was his best game by any means. I'm going to give him a 6, but that doesn't mean he played badly. We know how important he is to the structure of the team. So not having him there, obviously, you would be a bit more worried. But Dom's not quite had the goals lately, but he's still putting in that effort. He's still working hard, trying to compete for headers. And I'm pretty happy with him still at the moment. And I think that that flurry of goals will come again. But thankfully, a goal did come for another striker, the substitute, Betto. We've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for it for ages. Betto came on, got his first goal in the Premier League for Everton. And now it just takes even more pressure off Dom now, doesn't it? We know that Betto can come in. He's got his goal. That should be absolutely huge for his confidence. And we can now finally go, you know what? Betto can come in and can replicate what Dom does. He came on, he ran around, worked well hard. He's very raw. We know this. He's not the complete article yet. You'd expect that, though. You'd expect that from a player who's come from Italy. Of course, he's not played in the Premier League yet. Probably played defenders who are nowhere near as physical as the defenders you face in the Prem. And, he's working hard. He cares about Everton. He's a massive blue nose, isn't he? We know he is. He seems like an Evertonian. And fair play to him, gets his goal. And wow, did he enjoy it? His celebrations were just fantastic. Doing all I think he did about 5 celebrations to be fair, and he made sure to lap it up to the Goddess Street. But why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you after you've just scored your first goal at the street end? We all celebrate that, wouldn't we, if we scored at the street end? So it's great to see Betto doing well, and I really hope he can continue this now. He might even get a start against Chelsea because arguably he did better than Dom. So if he starts against Chelsea, I would not complain at all. When he has that ball in front of him, he's really hard to stop. He's like a steam train. So he got that ball on the right. Great ball from Nathan Patterson as a result of a 29 pass move. And he goes and runs at it and places his finish really, really calmly. So well done, Beto, and more to come from him. I'm sure there will be. He's getting an 8 from me. He probably he probably even could get a 9 just for his celebrations, but I'll stick to an 8 purely based on footballing reasons. But I love Beto and I hope it continues for him. And then the other substitute, the final substitute, Patterson came on. He did absolutely fine. Once again, he come on, did his job. This is the thing. All of these players, they know their role, they're organised, and they stick to the plan. And Nathan Patterson came on at a crucial time in the game when there's still things up in the air. You don't quite know what's going to happen yet. And he was calm. And the thing with Nathan Patterson is you don't want to worry about him because obviously a young player, you might have a few nerves about them sometimes, but he didn't worry me when he came on. And that is massive credit to him. He's obviously playing with fullbacks who are a lot more experienced than him. Seamus Coleman, Ashley Young have way more experience, but Nathan Patterson's got pace. He's got that youthful exuberance, and there's more to come from Nathan Patterson as well. The two substitutes that came on are players who I think are going to grow into this season and get even better game by game. And hopefully Nathan Patterson can work his way into the side soon because obviously in the long term, you'd expect he would be our right back. So hopefully Patterson can keep at it, and this will give him massive confidence. He's been a key part of a 3-0 win against Newcastle. So well done, Nathan Patterson. You're getting a I'll give you an 8. That's pretty generous considering he only played about half an hour, but I'll give him an 8 and I hope he carries on his great work because the whole team have just been brilliant there against Newcastle and hopefully we continue it against Chelsea. But that's all for the player ratings. Loads of positive ones there, as you would expect from such a good performance. We now go to Chelsea on Sunday at 2 p.m. Do check out my opposition view for that. Spoke to a Chelsea fan earlier on, Charlie. He was great and he's a bit worried about us. So hopefully we can capitalise on this great win in midweek and go and make it 2 on Sunday. Well, that's all for now. See you in a bit.